Spies don't wear tuxedos in real war. They wear fear like a second skin. From double agents who destroyed entire operations to resistance fighters stealing atomic secrets under Hitler's nose, these aren't your typical action movies. Want to know which WWTA spy film actually got people killed? Which one was so controversial that intelligence agencies tried to suppress it? Stick around because number 1 broke all the rules and changed espionage cinema forever. Number 15. The Counterfeiters 2007. Nazis forced Jewish prisoners to counterfeit currency in an actual World War II operation, and this Austrian masterpiece tells that impossible story. Karl Markovitch plays the forger leading this secret espionage unit where producing perfect fake money becomes their only leverage against extermination. The production won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film. Director Stefan Rusowicki interviewed actual survivors of Operation Bernhard, the real counterfeiting scheme. The film's genius is showing how prisoners weaponize their skills through deception and intelligence work. Creating counterfeit currency requires understanding financial systems and psychological manipulation. Markovitch delivers calculated cunning as his character maintains Nazi trust for survival. The cinematography captures claustrophobia through confined spaces and constant surveillance. The final twist becomes devastating when the operation proves worthless, because the fake notes were never circulated. Thousands died, millions were produced, none of it mattered. The film proved lesser known. World War II stories could achieve international recognition through intelligence narratives. Number 14. Army of Shadows, a 1969. The French resistance had no movie capturing their actual lives until this gut-wrenching masterpiece arrived. Lino Ventura plays a resistance fighter watching his comrades get eliminated one by one. The revolutionary part is showing resistance work as unglamorous, exhausting, and morally compromising. Killing someone suspected of collaboration, executing a friend to protect the group. These aren't heroes. They're ordinary people forced into extraordinary circumstances. The production faced incredible challenges because it was made just 24 years after the war ended. Critics didn't understand the film's refusal to celebrate French heroism. It took decades for critics to recognize this as a masterpiece. The film barely broke even financially, but influenced every spy thriller that followed. Melville's visual language shows espionage as intimate and threatening. Shadows and rain-soaked streets become characters themselves. Danger lurks in fancy parties and candlelit dinners, not gunfights. This is how espionage actually feels. Wet, tired, and utterly hopeless. Number 13. Topaz, 1969. Hitchcock made a spy thriller about the Cuban Missile Crisis, creating one of his most underrated films. Frederick Stafford plays a French intelligence officer navigating Cold War espionage where nobody can be trusted. The film bounces between Paris, Havana, and Washington, D.C., creating constant danger. John Vernon steals scenes as a potentially traitorous American official whose true allegiances remain unclear. Hitchcock essentially remade the ending twice because test audiences hated the original version. The first showed the French spy being shot. Audiences rebelled. The second tested worse. The surviving version feels ambiguous, somehow making it more realistic. Critics absolutely destroyed the film at release. Roger Ebert gave it 1 star, claiming Hitchcock lost his touch. 50 years later, film scholars recognize it as Hitchcock's most prescient work about Cold War moral complexity. It predicted how intelligence agencies would manipulate information and create false narratives. The cinematography captures the bland, boring reality of espionage compared to how movies typically present it. Number 12. 3 Days of the Condor, 1995. Robert Redford stumbles into conspiracy, and suddenly everyone wants him dead in this paranoia masterpiece. He plays a CIA analyst identifying a real assassination plot mentioned in a novel. When reporting it, he discovers the threat comes from inside his own agency. The film captures the exact moment Americans stopped trusting government. This wasn't entertainment, it was warning. Director Sidney Pollack crafted something feeling like tomorrow's news. The budget was $2.5 million but earned $30 million domestically. That money came from people terrified their government was lying. Watergate had just happened. The Pentagon Papers were exposed. This arrived when paranoia felt reasonable. Cliff Robertson's performance as the agency director is menacing because he's a bureaucrat protecting institutional interests. The famous apartment scene with Faye Dunaway has electricity modern thrillers completely lack. They're strangers forced together by circumstance with dangerously authentic chemistry. Critics praised it as the greatest American thriller since Chinatown. Time magazine called it required viewing for understanding modern espionage. Number 11. The Lives of Others. 2006. East German secret police surveillance becomes an almost poetic meditation on humanity. Ulrich Muhe plays a Stasi officer discovering his target through surveillance equipment, becoming emotionally connected and choosing between duty and conscience. This film takes one of history's most horrifying intelligence operations and finds unexpected tenderness. Director Florian Henkel von Donnersmarck interviewed actual Stasi officers running surveillance. They describe becoming intimate observers of people's private lives. That emotional violation becomes the central theme. The lead performance barely features speech. Everything happens internally. Watching someone's face realizing they've become a monster is extraordinary. The cinematography intentionally avoids beautiful imagery. Everything looks cold, gray, and institutional. That visual language communicates totalitarianism. Mark Strong's performance adds layers of ambiguity. Nobody truly knows his character's guilt. That ambiguity mirrors real espionage where certainty rarely exists. The film influenced new generations of directors understanding intelligent audiences craved complexity. Modern viewers recognize it as perhaps the greatest espionage film ever made, because it understands that spying fundamentally violates human dignity. Number 10. Notable, 1946. Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman navigate love, betrayal, and Nazi secrets in Hitchcock's masterpiece. Bergman plays a woman whose father was a Nazi sympathizer, making her suspect. Grant plays the intelligence officer recruiting her as a spy. The twist? They fall for each other. What makes Notorious revolutionary is treating the female protagonist as willing to risk everything for her country. She's not waiting for rescue. She's active in her espionage. The production cost nearly $2 million, substantial for 1946. Hitchcock pushed boundaries constantly, including an extended kiss, violating production codes. He achieved this by having them kiss briefly, talk dialogue, then kiss again. That Hitchcock cleverness transcended censorship. Claude Rains delivered chilling performance as Bergman's Nazi mother, barely raising her voice while becoming more terrifying than action villains. The cinematography captures espionage as intimate and threatening. The famous scene stealing a key becomes almost unbearably tense. Her hands shake, sweat appears on her forehead. That's how Hitchcock built suspense. Critics hailed it immediately as Hitchcock's greatest achievement. Modern scholars recognize Notorious as inventing the spy thriller template. Number 9. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, 1965. John le Carré wrote a novel destroying all spy movie illusions. Martin Ritt adapted it into this bleak masterpiece. Richard Burton plays a burned-out operative tasked with one final mission turning into suicide assignment. The film showed espionage as morally bankrupt. There are no good guys here. British intelligence manipulates Burton. American allies prove unreliable. The supposed enemy turns out human. Critics initially dismissed it as depressing and slow. They didn't understand the film accurately reflected real espionage work. It's not James Bond saving the world. It's bureaucrats sacrificing ordinary people, maintaining power structures. The production cost $2 million, earning $6.5 million globally. The film's cultural impact proved enormous, fundamentally changing intelligence agency portrayal in cinema. After this film, no serious director could make espionage look glamorous. Burton delivers finest performance, playing exhaustion and moral compromise. Oscar Werner as the supposed enemy operative adds emotional depth. The final twist shows the supposedly good guys murdering Burton's character anyway. That betrayal feels catastrophic because the film earned our hope. They don't grant it. Cinematography deliberately avoids color vibrancy. Everything looks faded and tired. Modern intelligence professionals cite this as the most accurate portrayal of their work. Number 8. Tinker Tailor Soldier. Spy 2011. Gary Oldman barely speaks as George Smiley in this puzzle box, refusing to explain anything. John le Carré's novel about finding a Soviet mole in British intelligence becomes nearly incomprehensible without full attention. That's intentional. Espionage is confusing. Smiley navigates bureaucratic resistance and unreliable allies. Thomas Alfredson, directed with restraint, some accused of being boring. Those people miss the brilliance. Every shot means something, every pause carries weight. The cinematography captures 1970s Britain as visually depressing. Grays and browns dominate. Smiley wanders through shadowy corridors constantly. That visual language communicates hidden truth. The scene where Smiley realizes the mole's identity occurs through reaction alone. Oldman's face barely changes, yet his eyes communicate everything. That's extraordinary acting and intelligent storytelling. Mark Strong as the likely mole adds ambiguity. Nobody truly knows guilt. That ambiguity mirrors real espionage. Modern viewers recognize it as one of cinema's greatest achievements, capturing psychological reality of espionage work. Number 7. Eyes Wide Shut, 1999. Kubrick's final film gets mistakenly dismissed when it's actually brilliant Cold War spy narrative dressed contemporary. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman navigate dangerous conspiracy where identities become commodities traded between intelligence operations. The masquerade ball scene isn't about decadence, it's espionage. Nobody knows who anyone truly is. That's exactly how Cold War operations functioned. The production took 15 months, costing $65 million. Kubrick obsessed over every detail. Every frame communicates surveillance and paranoia. The cinematography transforms New York into threatening labyrinth. Cruise becomes convinced people are watching everywhere. They absolutely are. The film's structure mirrors espionage narratives where reality becomes impossible to verify. What's happening? Who controls? Can anybody be trusted? Kidman's performance shows a woman recognizing institutional forces will destroy her family. That threat feels constant. The final sequence shows Cruise realizing his wife was surveilled and manipulated. Nobody escapes intelligence agency attention. Modern viewers recognize Eyes Wide Shut as Kubrick's commentary on power, control, and normalized institutional surveillance. Number 6. The Bourne Identity, 2002. Doug Liman rejected fancy espionage mythology for chaotic realism. Matt Damon's character doesn't remember who he is because intelligence agencies erased identity. Treadstone created him, trained him, then abandoned him. Unlike traditional sophisticated spies, Bourne is broken weapon. His intelligence results from trauma and psychological reconditioning. He stumbles through Europe answering one question: who am I? The production cost $60 million. Lyman's documentary-style cinematography prioritizes handheld cameras and natural lighting. Espionage means running through crowded streets, not infiltrating fancy casinos. That democratization of spy action changed cinema forever. The famous Paris car chase became more thrilling than traditional action because it felt geographically real. That car exists in actual Paris. When something crashes, impact feels genuine because it is. Damon's performance benefits from physical vulnerability. Bourne is terrified. He doesn't want this person. That psychological damage makes him sympathetic, despite lethal capabilities. The film earned $118 million globally against $60 million budget, making it extraordinarily profitable. It redefined spy cinema for the 21st century. Number 5. Zero Dark 30, 2012. Kathryn Bigelow made documentary-style thriller about decade-long hunt for Osama bin Laden, causing absolute international controversy. Jessica Chastain plays CIA analyst obsessed with finding bin Laden through fragmented intelligence and bureaucratic resistance. The film portrays enhanced interrogation techniques, raising questions about endorsing torture. That ambiguity was intentional. Bigelow doesn't judge, she documents. The production earned $95 million globally, proving audiences wanted difficult espionage films. Critics divided sharply. Some praised masterpiece, others condemned propaganda. That controversy made it impossible to ignore. The cinematography emphasizes surveillance footage aesthetics. Much visual language mirrors drone camera feeds. That choice communicates how modern espionage operates through technology rather than human contact. The final raid sequence avoids heroic music or triumphant cinematography. It's procedurally methodical. Kill, search, extract, leave. That unflinching reality distinguished it from traditional action cinema. Chastain's performance communicates obsession and psychological damage. She sacrificed everything for this hunt. Victory feels hollow, consuming a decade for vengeance. Critics couldn't stop discussing whether the film was morally responsible, proving Bigelow created something artistically important rather than purely entertaining. Number 4. Atomic Blonde, 2017. David Leitch-directed film about MI6 agent Lorraine Broughton hunting traitor in Berlin during Cold War. Charlize Theron plays spy whose physicality constantly surprises audiences. The revolutionary aspect showed female spy negotiating same moral compromises as male operatives. She kills, she manipulates, she betrays, she survives. The production earned $91 million globally, suggesting audiences embraced complex female protagonists. The cinematography transforms 1980s Berlin into neon-soaked nightmare. That visual language perfectly captures Cold War espionage aesthetics. Everyone looks beautiful on surface. Betrayal lurks beneath. John Goodman plays Broughton's CIA contact with delicious ambiguity. Is he helpful or surveilling? The film never fully answers, reflecting how intelligence partnerships function. Theron's choreography created action sequences feeling simultaneously balletic and brutal. Combat becomes almost dance-like, yet consequences are absolutely fatal. Modern viewers recognized Atomic Blonde as significant achievement, refusing to soften female protagonist. Instead of compromising, the film doubled down on moral complexity. Number 3. Bridge of Spies, 2015. Spielberg and Tom Hanks reunited for true story of lawyer negotiating prisoner exchange during Cold War. Hanks plays James Donovan, tasked with defending captured Soviet spy, then becoming key figure trading him for American pilot. The film's genius is refusing to be exciting. Espionage means lawyer meetings, tense conversations, and bureaucratic obstacles. There's barely any traditional action. Tension comes from ordinary people navigating extraordinary circumstances. The budget ballooned to $75 million, reflecting Spielberg's confidence audiences would embrace thinking spy film. Critics respected it, noting sometimes it feels like watching paint dry. That's intentional. Donovan constantly encounters resistance from every side. American officials fear he's soft on communism. Soviet officials distrust him for being American. The actual prisoner exchange becomes almost anticlimactic because real tension happened in conference rooms. Mark Rylance's performance as captured spy remains remarkably sympathetic. He's not portrayed as evil, just following orders. That moral complexity is the film's greatest strength. The cinematography mimics drab 1960s Cold War America aesthetic, with grays and browns emphasizing how dreary espionage actually is. The film earned $77 million globally, solid for adult-oriented cinema. Number 2. The Bourne Ultimatum, 2007. Paul Greengrass continued Matt Damon's journey as Bourne, hunted by his own creators across continents. The film reveals Bourne's actual identity, leading to devastating truth about his recruitment. He wasn't chosen, he was broken, captured, reconstructed into government weapon. The production cost $70 million, earning $142 million globally. Greengrass's kinetic direction made action sequences feel visceral and exhausting. Bourne runs constantly. He hides, he fights, he survives but never truly escapes. David Abbott's revelation that Bourne can't be retrieved because he's dangerous fundamentally shifts the narrative. The government created him, then abandoned him. Now he represents threat they must eliminate. That cyclical entrapment defines real intelligence agency operations. Once recruited, nobody truly escapes. Joan Allen's performance as the administrator willing to murder colleagues proves institutional loyalty trumps everything. The film deepened themes from first installment, showing Bourne's trauma wasn't temporary. It fundamentally changed him. The final scene where Bourne survives another near-death experience communicates that he'll never truly live, despite being alive. Modern audiences recognize it as the rare sequel surpassing original, while continuing intelligent character development. Number 1. Come and See, 1985. L.M. Klimov made harrowing masterpiece, plunging viewers into Nazi occupation horrors through teenage boys' eyes. As he joins Soviet partisans, his journey descends into nightmare of massacres, destruction, and psychological trauma. Shot with surreal intensity and raw realism, the film captures war's madness without glorification. Its unflinching brutality, haunting visuals, and transformative performance make it most devastating anti-war film ever made. Come and See doesn't just show war. It makes viewers feel horror in their bones long after it ends. The production cost remarkably little, yet achieved artistic scope rivaling $100 million productions. Klimov interviewed actual war survivors, creating authenticity no recreation could match. The cinematography becomes increasingly distorted as protagonists' mental state deteriorates. Colors saturate unnaturally, sounds distort, reality fragments. That formal structure communicates psychological trauma brilliantly. The child actor's face gradually transforms from innocence to haunted understanding. That transformation remains cinema's most powerful portrayal of war's capacity, destroying childhood. Modern viewers struggle finishing this film not because of explicit violence, but because emotional weight becomes unbearable. The final sequence, showing the protagonist discovering photographs of murdered family members, devastates through implication rather than graphic display. All right, viewers, which of these films shattered your expectations about spy cinematography? Drop your answer in the comments. Which spy movie deserves #1 instead of Come and See? Here's my real question: which matters more in intelligence film, historical accuracy or psychological truth? Because those two rarely align. Actual espionage is boring, bureaucratic, morally gray. Hollywood wants excitement and clarity. Can films be both historically authentic and cinematically satisfying simultaneously, or do we always have to choose? That's what I want debated below.